So I guess so you're talking about so writing comics is pretty quick. You're just talking about, you kind of can get out a draft of for a book in an evening or so. Um
Yeah.
is there really so you have an editor, is there really a lot of editing, or is it kind of like you write it and then the editor maybe makes a couple of tweaks? Like you don't go back and kind of do like a whole new edit on it, right?
Funny enough, actually, there's quite a bit of editing that goes up and down
Mhm.
because whether he adds and suggests it, little scenes, and I kind of go back with them, and we kind of have sometimes there's back and forth. But the writing can actually even keep evolving, even to the point where the artwork's in front of me, and I'm actually saying, no, actually change a word or two,
Mhm.
whatever it might be. But the editor process has definitely been a huge value. I have learned actually how valuable it is over the years. Starting off as a writer was something that never really occurred to me.
Mhm.
But having someone to bounce off ideas with and actually criticize what you kind of put in on paper a little bit is hugely valuable before you actually try and get it to the end reader.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that the readers experience not only great artwork but the best story possible.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really cool that you can you can, even if you have the artwork done, it's you can change all the wording, and you're like, they need to maybe say this a little different, or we need maybe a box here to say a certain
No,
thing.
completely.
Yeah, that's cool.
As, sometimes the artist is like, oh, bugger, I have to rearrange the character a little bit to kind of get the bubble to work nicely. But that doesn't happen too often. Usually, my editor and I, we're pretty good and we work well together. And as well, because he's the older brother of the artist, it's there's no miscommunication whatsoever, really.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Do you so from the writing and the artwork, do you kind of write that first draft? Like when does the artist start on stuff? Do you write a draft, edit it, or do you write the draft and let him get started? Where when at what point in that process does he start actually writing or drawing out the art?
Usually, once my editor and I have got at least 95% of the story right, we hand it to our artist. Between the two of them, they actually sit down and kind of even look at the scenes and how what's been written could actually work with the character's movement or where the character needs to be. And of course, always writing out or describing a fight scene is always interesting
Hmm.
between the writer and the artist. But it's definitely a sort of a work in progress. But I think all in all, because my artist and I and my editor, we've all grown up on the same animations. Whether it was like the Naruto or the Cowboy Bebop or all this type of old school storytelling, gaming, other comics as we keep mentioning Marvel and that. We seem to come from the same background of almost like comic nerds and game nerds and
Hmm.
so forth. So very fortunate enough that even though he lives in South America and I live in South Africa, we seem to talk the same language when it comes to this sort of comic storytelling.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. I yeah
I mean,
the
I
my
could mention.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, so I sometimes even just mention a character like, oh, I want this character's face to look like Luffy D. Luffy from I forget the animation's name now, but anyway, point is that it actually allows us to have good little references, and my artist knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that I'm working on with my buddy that we've just barely started. I've got a bit of a script. We're kind of working on some character designs, just fleshing things out a little bit. But we're gonna try going the route a little bit of we're shooting for more of a graphic novel length as opposed to individual little. I've broken it up into about 5 parts, but um, basically we're gonna kind of do a I'm gonna write it out, and then he's gonna do just very rough sketches, like almost like doodling, just kind of like as that first draft of does this start to lay out okay? Is this working how we want? But nothing that's too permanent to where it's feel like we've put a lot of work into a bunch of art and then we get rid of it or something.
Yeah, my artist is very good at just drawing very fast sketches. So he can draw out three, four panels in, 3, 4 minutes or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But they're very quick, very simple. Um, in that way, we're able to go through a lot of ideas with very little like effort.
Mhm.
And as well, what we did is we've taken quite a different approach in the way we do our design and end product. Is do you know webtoons is actually like scroll comics.
Mhm.
There's just main one comic panel, and as you scroll with your mouse digitally or with your finger on your mobile, you just go down to the next panel and you
Mhm.
keep moving down. So we actually have started designing our characters or our story in that format. And once we have that format done, we then take that artwork and then we put it into the traditional panel format that's usually used for print media and that.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit of a different approach, I suppose, that maybe some artists or comic creators would take. But we actually start off in the digital um, webtoons, web scroll format, and then we actually move that artwork across into the traditional page format.
Mhm. And then do you so when you publish it finally, you have the print version, is the digital version still in that format, or do you change it over to like more of a normal?
Well, Amazon's a place that requires that the digital format, the Kindle format, is done as you would usually see the comic in a bookstore or comic store.
Mhm.
But a place like D-Reader or media, even like Webtoons, is very popular. These are all places that support scrollable comics.
Mhm.
And I think, we live on our mobile devices, whether you traveling to work or, just sitting down in front of your computer, everything's sort of much more simpler with the movement of your finger or just with the scroll of your mouse.
Mhm.
And a lot of people would say they'd much prefer the old traditional way. And trust me, I as well come from that background. But I found myself more and more being a reader that finds being in the digital space that I actually prefer this format. It's allows me to actually enjoy the artwork more. I don't have to panel across to different panels. It just allows me to scroll, and it's almost like
Mm.
watching a movie reel.
Yeah. I like reading comics. I love reading comics on like an iPad or something. I think that
Yeah,
it's really you can have the brightness up, you can really see the colors, like all that kind of stuff. But then when I go to like read a novel, I'd rather read a paper novel. So it's you have all these different mediums, but I like that idea of kind of being able to just scroll through you know, it's almost like a sorry, my dog's barking at me. It's almost like
I think
a yeah, like a film strip. Like you're just kind of
yeah, absolutely.
watching through the film strip. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it's definitely I think popular on Webtoons. If you ever visit that site, you'd be surprised how many indie creators use that
Yeah,
media.
I'll write that down. Webtoons.
Yeah, and it's very Webtoons has I think I would say thousands of creators, and you can definitely get lost
Yeah,
if you enjoy reading completely random, wild, different stories.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the one thing with comic books is you can really get into some wacky stuff because you can do whatever you want with it. There's really
No,
no limit.
I mean that's something about, like I say, working in the D-reader space that I mentioned, and being with so many other different indie creators. It's pretty wild, like the imaginations that get shared and the stories that are getting put down on paper and that. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's almost daunting. It's like, sure, I've really got to be on my game here to make sure my creativity is really adding some fun and some smiles to everyone's day.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's really cool. Yeah, I hope that I've always loved comic books. That's been something similar to you. I grew up watching stuff, and so it's really fun to see it really just getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people are creating stuff, and it's really fun. So
Yeah, it definitely is push the competition up.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because now there's so many people that are doing it that you got to really step it up. And based on what I've seen of your guys' stuff, your artwork is incredible. So compliments
Oh,
to
thank you.
your artist for sure.